All right. So, the first step in beating or reversing prediabetes and diabetes is understanding what we are even talking about. The basics or bread and butter of understanding diabetes is first understanding the role of blood sugar. We want to understand where it comes from, how is it processed, and where does it go. And I like to use the term input, processing, and output to keep it as simple as possible. I would personally argue this is one of the most vital things to understand about diabetes before you try to jump into how to fix it. So let's get right into it. So, where does blood sugar come from? Carbohydrates are the main source of blood sugar. And there are 3 or 4 main components that come from your food: the fats, the protein, carbohydrates, and micronutrients like minerals and vitamins. This is all very detailed explained in the nutrition module under the lifestyle tenets on this channel. But our focus in a diabetes setting is the carbohydrates. That is going to be your biggest source of blood sugar. So on this slide, you see multiple different sources. These are what we call simple versus complex carbohydrates. All of this detail comes into play when we go into the nutrition section. And here is a list again of various foods and what we call a glycemic index, which is how much blood sugar actually comes out of these particular foods that have been listed here. And we're going to talk about glycemic index in detail later. But for the purposes of this video, my main point to say is it comes from your food. That's the biggest source of blood sugar for the body. Now, once we get the input, our next question is, who is processing this material? And the answer is 3 or 4 main organs over here. You've got your liver, you've got your pancreas, and you've got your digestive tract. So, of course, the food comes into the digestive tract. And when the liver and the pancreas are mainly notified that there is carbohydrate in that food, they really kick into action. They kick into action to try to help you emulsify that food. And the pancreas plays a very, very big role by doing this thing called release of insulin. Insulin, you want to imagine, is a carrier. It's kind of the key to get that blood sugar out of the blood and into the organs that need to use it. This part, again, I would argue is very, very important to understand. We do not want too much sugar in the blood because the blood is a very, very particular space. So when the body senses that there is a lot of sugar in the blood, it's going to change its profile. And the body immediately tries to get it out of there and put it into organs that need it. This is the big role of the pancreas because that is one of the things it does. It releases this product called insulin, and that insulin is going to go gather all of that little blood glucose or sugar, and it's going to try to move it out of the blood. That process is so important that it happens in a timely fashion. And these organs can only work so fast. So hopefully that should make sense why we care so much about how much blood sugar comes at a given time. The easier it is for the pancreas to digest that food and get that sugar out of the blood and either into organs or moving out of the blood mainly, the less blood sugar you're going to have and the healthier your body state is going to be. So these are the vital organs that are involved in helping you take that blood sugar out of the blood and move it into the right spaces. So now when we say right spaces, what purpose does this sugar serve in your body? So this is where we kind of get a sense of what is the output. What uses blood sugar? Well, every single muscle in your body needs blood sugar for energy. So the brain uses a ton of blood sugar every day. It needs it, and it's very, very vital for energy. All of your muscles, especially your large muscle bellies, which is going to come into play when we talk about movement, they require a great amount of blood sugar in order to function. Now, I put this picture over here because this shows illness. A lot of the brain and muscular function is day to day. We need that blood sugar day to day to stay functional and have energy. But especially when we get ill, whether it's mental illness, whether it's physical illness, and when our sympathetic system takes over in order to try to fight something that the body is currently facing, our body tends to keep more sugar in the blood in order to allow it to use that sugar wherever it needs, whether it be the muscles, whether it be the brain, depending on the type of stressor that has occurred in the body. So this piece right here is to sort of answer why many people will get a big spike in their blood sugar when they have an infection, when they have significant stress. And that's a natural reaction of the body. That's not an abnormal reaction. And that has to be taken into consideration when we are dealing with things like diabetes and prediabetes. Now, input and output, as you can tell, is tried to be very simple here. The storage is the other place that the body will put all of this energy. So if we're not going to use the energy, the body can't just get rid of it right away, so it's going to try to store it. So the alternate is getting energy in a storage state. And now this storage is important because, for example, sometimes when we're sick, if you notice, we don't feel hungry right away. We're not going to gather that much extra carbohydrate in that 1 or 2 meals when our body needs a lot, and this storage becomes very vital. So I don't want this to be a sense of the storage is bad for you, but too much storage definitely can be bad for you because it's going to weigh the body down. So I hope this was a video that helped you understand the role of blood sugar, or blood glucose as we call it. So now that we understand what happens when we have a good amount, we're going to start understanding now what happens when we have too much. So I'll see you in the next video.